Welcome back, folks, to WWE Network and Show right here. Every single Monday, I, Graham, Gius, and Matthews break down all the original content I watch in the WWE Network. Today, we're talking about another episode of Table for Three, this time called Divas Champions Club, with Kelly, Eve Torres, and Maurice, aired last week after Raw. Decent episode on the whole, probably even more so for me. I mean, probably for anybody, but even more so for me just because I grew up with these three women as the focus of the Divas division. Of course, once called Divas, now the women's division in WWE. And it's just crazy to think how far we've come with women's wrestling. I mean, nowadays it's really expected that for the women to have 10, 15 minutes, TV matches. This Tuesday, tomorrow, as I record this, we're having another women's Money in the Bank ladder match, a second in the matter of 9 days. You know what I mean? It's crazy. And 7, 8 years ago, when Kelly, Eve Torres, and Maurice were around, we weren't getting those type of matches. If anything, they had 2-minute matches that were completely forgettable, bad matches, terrible storylines, no storylines. So the Divas division, or rather women's division in WWE, has come a long way. But it was interesting to hear their thoughts on the state of women's wrestling at that time, from like 2006 to 2010, 2011. Because we have had women on before from, like Ivory and Molly Holly and Alundra Blaze, women from like the late 90s, mid 90s, early 2000s, mid 2000s. Candice Michelle was another one, Michelle McCool. We've had a lot of different women on the show before that all gave their thoughts on the women's division at that point in time. But never like from this era. Like I said, Kelly, and Eve, and Maurice. And Maurice we see every week on the show now anyway with Miz, thank God. But we don't see Kelly, or Eve as much. So it was kind of cool to get their 2 cents on the division at that point in time. So anyway, on a brief recap here of what they talked about. This is taking place over WrestleMania 33 weekend, like a day or two before, a day or two before the big match at WrestleMania between Miz and Maurice and Nikki Bella and John Cena. Maurice is not her WrestleMania debut. I know she's wrestled at Mania before. I know at 25, 26, and that might have been it. So her third ever match at WrestleMania. All of them have gotten married since the last time they talked. Maurice got married to Miz in 2014. Kelly, I know, got married on that show, Wags or whatever it was. I don't know if that's still airing. I believe it is. I don't know if she's on it, though, on E! About a year or two ago. And then Eve got married, I think, right after she left WWE in 2013 or 2014. They all look great. Kelly says Maurice used to order every time they went out chocolate cake. Again, riveting stuff, but I thought it was funny, so I noted it. Kelly talks about the aforementioned show Wags and wanting to have a baby boy, not a girl, but specifically a boy. Eve talks about being a mother and having a baby boy a few years back. Again, I think right after she left WWE. I think it was actually a year or two ago, not too long ago. Might have taken a couple years for her to have the child that she did, but she talks about being a mother to the baby boy. Maurice talks about the mixed tag team match at WrestleMania, loves being on the road with her husband, The Miz, of course, obviously. It was a bit different for them for about 5 years, from the time that Maurice left the company in late 2011 to when she came back in 2016. That's a solid 5-year run of not being on the road with your significant other, complete opposite of what it used to be like with the two when they were on the road together all the time from like 05, 06, 07 to 2011 when Maurice left the business. And of course, Miz has been around that entire time. So she talks about that lifestyle, and I know I'm not alone in saying that Maurice being back on TV has been a great thing. I hope they don't split them up and they don't take Maurice off TV. I've heard some people say maybe it was only temporary to bring her back as part of a package with The Miz on TV. And I hope that's not the case. They're so great together. I would be very disappointed that they go their separate ways, or they split them up, or they just take Maurice off TV to explain her absence from programming. I really hope that's not the case. I don't think it's her decision either. I don't think it's like her wanting to leave the road, because based off the way she talked about it here, that doesn't appear to be the case. Unless they're writing her off of TV for, temporarily for a few months and then she comes back. I don't know. But Eve mentions how the women are today are getting more opportunities, from the ladder match to Hell in a Cell, Iron Woman, etc., etc. And to Eve, she mentions that the word diva never felt authentic. So even to Eve, which makes sense. I mean, Kelly doesn't say that. I guess she kind of liked the word diva, which, whatever. She kind of showed some dissatisfaction with the fact they're now called superstars, and she said it separated themselves from the men, which I guess is kind of true. But the word diva has such a negative connotation to it, so I'm so glad they got rid of that. I've talked about that multiple times before. But Eve seems like the type of person that would take exception to the fact that they were being called divas for such a long period of time. Considering, she wasn't amazing in the ring, but Eve was definitely more one of the standout performers for her period of time among the Bella Twins and Kelly and friggin' Rosa Mendez and all the other terrible ones. in that period of time. Not Naomi. Naomi's gotten a lot better. Cameron wasn't good. So Eve was one of the standouts. So it kind of makes sense to me that she would say something like that. They talked about liking working with each other as opponents and as tag team partners and stuff like that. They talk about their favorite opponents and stuff, and there really isn't many of them. I mean, Eve, for a large part of her career, worked with Maurice. She worked with Beth Phoenix. That's really about it. They didn't have many more feuds beyond that with each other. They did praise Beth Phoenix, and that's why Kelly and Eve are there for WrestleMania weekend, because they're there to induct, to watch Beth Phoenix get inducted into the Hall of Fame over WrestleMania weekend. But yeah, Kelly talks about liking working, like how she liked working with the other women. She references the Jerry Springer segment from Raw in early 2010. Why, I have no idea. She said she enjoyed it, but I completely had forgotten about that until she brought it up. But I guess, Kelly got to interact a lot with the celebrities during her time on Raw, so maybe that's what she enjoyed about it. They talk about Maurice, how she couldn't speak proper English when she first debuted in WWE, when she was doing like the vignettes and like Welcome Back to SmackDown. You would see her in like a bathtub and all this other stuff. And Kelly made fun of her for it, how she couldn't speak proper English, and they had to do the take like 30 times. They had to tape the vignettes over and over because she could never get the words right because she could hardly speak any English whatsoever, which I thought was funny. For funniest female talent, they said it was a tie or maybe a close tie between Natalya and Vicky Guerrero, and they share a story about how Vicky Guerrero put fake cockroaches in the bag of Kelly because Kelly would bother her about something. I forgot what it was, but I guess Vicky was quite the ribster backstage. And they all talk about, to close out the episode, they all talk about wanting to have more kids. Kelly is not a mother yet. They all are married, but they all want to have more kids. I guess Maurice doesn't have kids either. Maurice wants to have kids. She wants to have 4 kids. This whole soccer team, she said. Kelly wants a baby boy, as I said before, and I guess Eve wants a second child as well. And then to close out the episode, for whatever reason, Maurice talks about, she shares this story about her cat having chin acne, and she thought it was like a burn or something, so she brought it to the doctor. I don't know what relevance that had or what the purpose of that story was. But they all do agree that The Miz will be eventually a good dad at some point down the road. So, again, for whatever that's worth. But that is the Divas Champion Club episode of Table for 3, airing last week after Raw. Check it out now on the WWE Network, on demand under Originals, Table for 3. You know the drill. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a decent episode. Nothing groundbreaking. I mean, if you're a fan of one of these women, you'll probably enjoy it more than most. They don't talk about too much, nothing too much of note. The episode actually runs longer than the Cornette episode with Eric Bischoff and Michael P.S. Hayes, surprisingly enough, which I saw a lot of people were upset about. I didn't talk about that here in the show a couple weeks back, but apparently a lot of people were upset that the episode was cut short, because I guess they taped like an hour of content, which is never going to make the air, of course. If all these episodes are 15 to 20 minutes, why would that one get an hour? I mean, I know it's going to be an amazing footage and stuff like that, great exclusive footage and whatnot that we all want to see, but it's kind of unfair to the rest of the episodes. But again, this is no Bischoff, Cornette, and Michael Hayes. This is pretty standard stuff. They do talk about the division quite a bit from their time period from like 06 to 2011, 2012, 2013. And that's about it. Again, they just kind of have a good time. That's really about it. And just kind of share memories of working with each other. But beyond that, not the most newsworthy or groundbreaking episode, but it is enjoyable for what it's worth. So that is it, guys. Divas Champion Club episode of Table for 3. Again, check it out on WWE Network next Monday. We're talking, what's airing tonight on the WWE Network? I'm not really sure. I know we have a new Table for 3 coming up on July 17th, Monday. I know that's being advertised tonight after Raw. I'm not exactly sure, but we will have a new episode up, nevertheless, of Table for 3. I know we're probably going to get another episode of that show at some point, too. New episode of WWE Network and Chill next Monday, right before Raw, right here on the YouTube channel. So speaking of which, please be sure to support the show by dropping a like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and sharing the video as well. All that stuff is amazingly appreciated. Be sure to follow me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant and find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Graham.Matthews. And once again, we'll be back here right here next Monday for an all-new episode of WWE Network and Chill. So until next time, guys, I'm Graham Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.